All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Greater Miami Convention and Visitors Bureau State of the Industry. My name is Jennifer Diaz, Vice President of Communications, and I will be your moderator for today. Today's session is being recorded and will be shared with all attendees. If you have a question at any point throughout the session, please make sure to click on that Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. That will ensure that your question is seen by the panelists and by the moderator. And now it is my pleasure to introduce to you President and CEO of the Greater Miami Convention and Visitors Bureau, William Talbert.
Thank you very much, Jennifer, and good morning to the State of the Industry and the Tourism Industry Forum and Recovery Plan Update. I am Bill Talbert, as Jennifer said. I want to point everyone to our website because you can follow a lot of what we're going to talk about on our website, www.miamiandbeaches.com, and you'll see a lot of what we're going to talk about. Today is day 59 of Safer at Home, and we're going to be moving next week, we hope. Maybe while this session is on, the governor will sign everything. I also want to declare that today is day 105 that I haven't had a haircut. So I'm looking forward to maybe Monday. We are the Greater Miami Convention and Visitors Bureau, your official destination sales and marketing organization. Our mission is to generate travel demand to Greater Miami and the beaches, to maximize economic impact to our community, to ensure industry resiliency, and to elevate quality of life for residents of Miami-Dade. I'd like to thank Comcast Business. They're paying for this deal. Go Comcast. We have a number of elected officials that have signed on today, this morning, including a school board member. And at the end, we're gonna have a very robust time at the end. I've got 10 minutes, and I'm gonna take 10 minutes and move on. But we're gonna have then Rolando and Connie and her special guest, and then Scott Berman, the All-Star, and then a robust time for questions and answers for elected officials and comments. I want to recognize Bruce Aros, our board chair, and other board members that are on the call. Bruce has been showing extraordinary leadership in these times, tough times, and he's taken a lot of leadership about the film industry. He's got some novel, creative ideas to get us back in that business. So bravo, Bruce. Thank you for your leadership. May is National Tourism Awareness Month, and now more than ever, it is important to recognize the value of tourism and its impact to the economy. This year, our event is taking place virtually because we were all safer at home, day 59, and us unprecedented times for the industry and the world. We know that the travel and hospitality industry is one of the hardest hit from this pandemic, but our spirit is strong. This industry is resilient, especially in Greater Miami. I'm honored to serve on a number of groups that are post virus programs. Number one, the U.S. Secretary of Commerce's Travel and Tourism Advisory Board, their virus communications program. Ogle Ramuto, she's probably signed on, our partner on that. We are with the Miami-Dade County Mayor Carlos Jimenez's industry working groups. We started out with 2 or 3 or 4. And last night, number 15 was born, these industry working groups for summer camps for kids. So those industry groups, I think you've read about, have industry leaders, and every group has a doctor, an MD, and also a representative from the Florida Department of Health. And I think you've seen the preliminary plan that was rolled out yesterday that's in the governor's hands now. And I'm sure that maybe during this session, the governor he's probably watching and he'll sign it. All the advisory panel appointed by Talbert, forward with we're watching. We have here from thanks Derek Jeter and Alfie Mesa, we have our facial mask, and also Bruce Oro's I like to have props, so I always carry this tape measure with me to have 6 feet of distance spatial. So that's a lot of groups and a lot of work and a lot of efforts, and a lot of people on this call have been on particularly the working groups, and also the city of Miami Beach has met every day, and our team was involved in all of those. So good things are going to happen. The GMCVB led the industry out of crisis before 9/11, the oil spill, Zika, remember Zika? And 4 straight years of hurricanes. And it was only 3 months ago, February 2nd, the destination welcomed a record Super Bowl, our 11th Super Bowl, Super Bowl 54, where we saw some of the highest hotel performance in our history. Wow. Thank you to Stephen Ross for getting that stadium, Hard Rock Stadium, Rodney Barreto for his leadership, all of the city officials who helped make that happen, and also a particular shout out to Miami National Airport. I know that Lester Sola is signed in, but this was the best Super Bowl, and it was also the best entry and exit for any Super Bowl in history, and it will be replicated in the future. And we've got our oar in for another Super Bowl, 25, 26, and 27, and that will happen. And I thank Rodney Barreto again for his leadership. The best Super Bowl ever. We are a global town, and the Miami brand is strong. We've been there before, and we will be there again. To take a look at our performance the last year, download the 2019 annual report by visiting www.gmcvb.com/research. Our previous success is in part thanks to the partnerships with each of you, local businesses, and our elected officials. A few months ago, we heard from all of these groups as the GMCVB finalized the Destination Miami Strategic Plan, and there's a cover, serving now as an integral part of our recovery efforts. Today, we will share the GMCVB's recovery pandemic strategy: educate, mitigate, stimulate, EMS. You always got to have letters, EMS. Association and my to talk about and we basically close shutters on the mainland. So Europe immediately launched the Hotel for Essential Lodgers webpage. Immediately, a one-stop shop to find open hotels in the greater Miami area for essential lodgers. And the programs kept rolling. Understanding the industry's need for information, we launched an industry help site and entered into partnerships with the United Way, thanks Maria Alonso, I think she's on the call today, to create a hospitality portion to the Operation Helping Hands Pandemic Fund. And we made an investment there, and that's been very, very successful. Once again, thank you, Maria, for your leadership. Our program, Miami Salutes, came soon after as a way to rally the industry and offer special offers to those first responders and frontline workers that were so important in our community. Virtual Miami was developed as a result of the amazing programming many of you developed after your attractions and venues were closed. If you were broadcasting it, we were promoting it through our Virtual Miami platform. Last but not least, our Miami Eats Order Out, Help Out program began 53 days ago, April 22nd, with 320 restaurants. You had to order out and take out. 320 restaurants. I'm proud to say today, because of the work of your Bureau team, almost 1,200 restaurants are part of that program. Some of the restaurants opened because of the Miami Eats programs. These programs support our small and local businesses and some of the hardest hit during the pandemic by keeping jobs available to our service industry workers. Getting into my 10 minutes. The Miami Eats program calls on locals to dial their restaurants direct, and through a partnership with the Miami Beach Chamber, thank you, Jerry Libben, we launched a 30-second spot which ran on cable for our care. Run the video.
Every time the phone rings
at our restaurant, it brings us hope.
Because every time you call us directly
for takeout or delivery,
our kitchens come to life.
We season your food
with love and gratitude
so you can enjoy it at home.
By yourself or with your closest ones.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you for calling us.
Thank you for ordering out.
Merci.
Miami Eats is one example of what your Bureau is doing in reaching out to small businesses, offering guidance and support during the pandemic. To talk more about work being done with local businesses here is Connie Kinnard, the Bureau's VP of Multicultural Tourism and Development, and I'm 45 seconds over my 10 minutes, so I'll get that back. Connie, take it away.
Thank you and good morning. Good morning. Under our tourism business enhancement component and our multicultural initiatives in general, our focus is to foster access and economic sustainability of businesses in our heritage neighborhoods and businesses that directly or indirectly affect tourism. Some of the programs that we've been doing for this program is as follows. And we'll advance the slide on that. One of the things that we're doing, as I mentioned, our tourism business enhancement, we have webinars, we have calls, we're engaged with our partners on a regular basis, surveys targeting smaller businesses amid COVID-19. We just had a business continuity webinar for small businesses to help them through this process. We had also, under our program, we have Art of Black Miami, and we did a virtual Zoom on mindfulness that we invited the creative minds and the arts partners to participate. Regularly in our multicultural tourism newsletter, we are sharing mitigation and recovery information to our stakeholders and small businesses. As well as our whole team, we're out and about talking about the things that we're doing at the Bureau and sharing information. We too are working with our partners and our heritage communities as far as marketing and awareness. Recently, we've done interviews with Legacy Magazine, Venture Cafe, Going Overtown, and iUrban TV. Outreach to our business and heritage communities, again, is something that we do. We believe that keeping that touch is very important to make sure we're connected to the communities so that they know that the GMCVB is working on their behalf. In tandem with convention sales, we also are helping to relocate conventions that want to rebook. We want them to stay here. So we've worked with a couple of conventions, American Black Film Festival that comes every year, typically in June, is moved to October 2020. The Association of African American Museums was booked for August 2020, and now we've helped our convention sales book them in August 2021, as well as Tennessee State University was scheduled to be here in June, and now they're booked in 2022. In addition to that, we work regularly with all the departments of the GMCVB to make sure that there is a heritage footprint in everything we do, to include the Miami Eats program, our virtual Miami program, and Miami Salutes. You've heard from me, but wanted to also let you hear from one of our GMCVB partners and stakeholders, Nicole Gates, owner and creative lead of Little Greenhouse Grill. She actually, if you saw that video, our Miami Eats made a cameo appearance in that at her restaurant. And recently, most recently, Oprah Winfrey stopped by and made a surprise visit to her restaurant as part of Oprah Winfrey's 2020 vision. So we're happy to have Nicole online to talk a little bit about the small business perspective. Nicole?
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Talbert. Good morning, Connie. Good morning, everyone out there in the universe, because Mr. Talbert, we know everyone loves Miami, so we know everyone's watching. So I have to tell you, we've been open now 3 years, and it has been through the partnership with the GMCVB that is attributed to not only our success locally, but the attention that we've been getting on a national scale. I mean, Oprah had to hear about us from somewhere. So we are so grateful that through tourism, everyone is taking the message of Little Greenhouse Grill and all of what's happening with Overtown back to their respective homes and states. And that has gotten us a lot of national attention through this pandemic. That is also has been what's kept us, because believe it or not, the locals are getting out again. They're delivering, they're discovering restaurants they haven't used before. So through Miami Eats and through our partnership with the GMCVB, we've been reintroduced to a plethora of brand new customers and clients. And even though this is probably one of the worst things that could possibly happen, it has also been one of the best learning experiences that I've ever gone through. And so I thank you, Miami Eats program, Connie, Kinnard, and the GMCVB for coming into Overtown District 5, where Chairman Hardiman is doing a fantastic job. And we just want to say thank you for bringing the message of the good things happening in Overtown to everyone. So we're excited about this new pivot into this new normal.
Very good. Thank you so much, Nicole. Thank you. Thank you. Small business will be the cornerstone in the recovery of our community. And now to walk us through the GMCVB's recovery marketing campaign is Rolando Aedo, GMCVB COO. Thanks.
Connie, thank you, and good morning, everyone. Nicole mentioned the word pivot, and I think this Bureau has demonstrated over its 35 years of existence its ability to pivot after crisis. Miami Eats was born from the same team that's put together Miami Spice. And many of you may not remember, but Miami Spice was actually a result of post 9/11 crisis response strategy. And I want to give kudos to Steve Haas, our former chair, our board member, the godfather of Miami Spice, because that program not only helped a lot of restaurants at the time, but also gave birth to a lot of great other programs that we will be leveraging in our response strategy. So we're very excited about what that has meant. So let me walk you through a little bit in terms of what we have done, and more importantly, what we will be doing. And I'll walk you through a couple of brief slides, and of course, we'll have the ability to answer some questions at the tail end of that. So we can go to the post-recovery slide. There you go. So some of you have seen a version of this slide, because what we do is informed not only by some amazing professional staff here at the GMCVB, but a lot of our great partners on this call, a lot of the regional marketing groups, of course, our city and county partners. So, Bill mentioned a lot of our pre-recovery efforts, and I won't go through with those. Yes, Miami Eats, Miami Salutes, etc. And we will be leveraging a lot of those same programs and amplifying them dramatically and baking them into what we're calling our recovery campaign. And our recovery campaign, to some extent, will, to a large extent, quite frankly, will be triggered by when hotels are given that green light to open. And of course, hotels will need some ramp up period, but the top priority for us is to drive as much hotel demand in the shortest period of time once those hotels are reopened. I think we would all agree that's what's good for hotels is good for everybody. Not only does it turn on the revenue streams that we all count on as residents, as industry members, but people that stay in hotels will spend in restaurants, our attractions, our museums, and we will do that in a very responsible and sensitive way. And of course, we'll ultimately take our lead from our city and county partners in terms of when to do that. But driving demand back into our hotels, turning back that faucet on that means so much to this community as the #1 industry and all the jobs that it sustains. And then, we're going to do it very strategically. And we've got, unfortunately or fortunately, we've got a lot of crises that we've gone through that are informing our processes. And, 9/11, oil spills, Zika, 2008, and I've been here through all those, so has Bill, and so has many of you. So we've got some of that experience to draw upon, although we also recognize that this is a very, very unique situation that we're going through. So as you look on this slide, we're going to be targeting a lot of our local and regional customers. These are people like ourselves, like yourselves, that we are going to encourage to please, please, please support your hospitality industry, because you rely on them for so many things, either directly or indirectly. Tourism is truly everybody's business, and we all benefit from that. So, and then we're going to go out to our Florida, our drive markets, Southeast US. Ultimately, we're going to get into some of those key domestic feeder markets in this phase 1 approach, and then beyond that at the right time with international, which is so near and dear. We will unleash the power of Miami Spice, the Miami Spa Month, our attractions and museums programs. These are programs that have a proven track record of driving business, especially during the summer, and are about deals and value propositions, and we're going to count on you to provide us. In fact, our team right now, as we're on this call, is going out there and asking you to arm us with as many deals as possible that we can bake into our message. The next slide is going to show you that a critical component about reestablishing customer confidence is having what we're dubbing a destination pledge. It's after Zika, and I want to thank the Hotel Association in particular, we worked on a hotel pledge. So we want to take that same strategy, that principle, and zoom it out to make sure that our customers, whether they're here for meetings or conventions or vacation, do recognize that everything is being done at every touch point, whether it's our airport, hotels, our convention center, of course, attractions, museums, our transportation system, restaurants, and beyond are implementing all the minimum and hopefully exceeding the standards that have been called upon by city, county, federal regulation. Then we're going to bake that in, and we're going to communicate that to all our customers. And meeting planners, which are very, very risk averse in particular, are going to make sure that we are committed. We are pledging as a community to do everything we can to mitigate the possible spread of any contagion. The next slide is really talking a little bit about this amazing community that we all call home. I'm privileged to be here. I'm privileged to promote this community. We are one of the most resilient communities in the world, I would argue, and definitely our industry is one of the most resilient when we look at the historical track record in terms of return to business or recovery of RevPAR and ADR. It's there, and we're counting on all of you to help us get us there again. So, we talked a little bit about the practical implications of what we need to do, but we are also developing an emotional and aspirational outreach to our community, as we did after 9/11 with our What Makes You Happy campaign, after Hurricane Irma with our Miami Now campaign. So the next slide is really, some words that we have crafted that will serve as kind of our North Star, our guiding principle of our campaign as we move forward. So I'm going to read this briefly, I promise, and hopefully with some effect, but here we go. Greater Miami is all about vibrance and energy, and we could all use a little bit of both. It's also about life-affirming, positive vibes, full on optimism, and the can-do attitudes of our people and our city. It's a place where sunrise and sunsets are equally radiant, where cafecito hour brightens our afternoons, and where luminous, moonlit skies light up the night. That's how we shine every single day of the year. And that bright, beautiful, sun-drenched attitude permeates everything, every place, and everyone in our destination. And it will await you, ready for you to explore, discover, and enjoy. We stand by you as you stand by. So come shine with us, all you adventurers, beachgoers, foodies, music fanatics, culture seekers, and art lovers. Let's shine. This is not an ad, folks. This is simply a manifesto that we're using to inspire our campaign. And the next slide will show you, if you haven't noticed from the step and repeat behind me, Miami Shines is the platform that we're building. And we're building it to communicate to our backyard, to our drive markets, to our national customers, that we are shining brighter than ever. And it's not just the shine of our sun, folks. It's the shine of our people. It's our places. It's you. It's our industry. So, we're capturing all this. We're building a very comprehensive strategic campaign. And this organization, under Bill's leadership, has restructured itself to have the resources to do that. And one of the things that we did, we produced about 2 weeks ago. Hopefully some of you have seen it, but if not, let me roll with a video that talks about this campaign.
Sometimes, looking ahead is what moves us forward. It's in those moments when we discover who we truly are, where we appreciate more than ever the beauty of life and turn that admiration into inspiration with life-affirming optimism and a thirst for endless discovery. There's a place with that same bright, sun-drenched attitude. It radiates from everything, from every corner, and from everyone. It turns bricks and mortar into masterpieces and lets nature thrive in its natural state. So we invite you to look forward to a brilliant tomorrow in a place that sparks joy and ignites smiles. We can't wait to welcome you with open arms. Until then, we stand by you as you stand by, ready for our Miami sun to shine brighter than ever. Let's shine together.
So the word shine is something you're going to hear a lot about. In fact, here's a snapshot of our program. It's going to be very robust, not only targeting consumers at large, but also those meetings and groups. And kudos to Aedo and Barry and the sales team. They've been fully engaged with a lot of conventions that, yes, some have had to cancel or postpone, and others were frankly trying to hold on to for the fall. But we're going to be everywhere as you would expect us to be, and not just for the general consumer. We'll be targeting our multicultural audiences, our LGBTQ audiences. And we've done this, again, we've done this after 9/11, oil spill, Zika, and we're using a lot of those experiences to make sure that this is the most comprehensive and effective campaign ever. The next slide will kind of give you a recap of how we're going to roll this out. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to be targeting that Tri-County area once hotels are ready to receive guests, and then go out to the drive markets, US and Canada as well. And by the way, drive markets may be redefined. We think of drive a couple of hours, but I don't know about you, but I see a lot of Canadians driving in our streets, and hopefully we can convince even some folks further afield to come and do the ultimate road trip. The ultimate road trip is to Miami. Travel the world in your car in Miami. So we're going to roll this out in the coming weeks, and the next slide will kind of show you, some of our, social media, as you all know, is so powerful now more than ever. These are things that weren't available to us during some of those past crises that I've mentioned. We've been leveraging it all for several weeks now. Most of our paid media has been turned off, but we have been extremely active on social media, and also leveraging a lot of the great partners on this call. Hotel Association, the VCA, the city, the DDA. A lot of you have also been talking about your respective neighborhoods and communities, and we have leveraged and amplified everything that you're doing. The next slide talks about that phase one, and on the bottom part, I will re-emphasize, people are going to be looking for deals, special offers, values, and we'll use the right words. Believe you me, we typically have Miami Spice, the Miami Spa Month, and Attractions Month, and Museums Month. We're going to collapse all those together and unleash them fairly concurrently to drive as much business into all those business segments as soon as it's responsibly possible, which ultimately is dictated by our city and county partners. Next slide. We, meeting planners, everything we do has our meeting community, our group market in mind, not just at our amazing new convention center, but within the hotel meeting space as well. So that's what this bureau does. We book both. We work closely with our dear partners at the convention center, Spectra, Freddie Peterson. Thank you for what you and your team are doing. We're working closer than ever, and we need to, because we need to get that business back as quickly as possible. Next slide is, one of the unique things about Miami Shines, which hasn't been part of our past practices, but definitely will be moving forward, is how we want to engage the community. Our strategic plan says that our community is one of our most powerful assets. So let's go ahead and do that. And that's why the assets and the campaign that we're building will be in English, Spanish, and Creole, so that we can empower and engage not only all of you, but our industry. And we know that those Spanish and Creole speaking communities are in fact the backbone of our business. And to some extent, the ones that have been the hardest hit. So we want to engage them and make sure that they benefit from the Miami Shines campaign. So to that end, we're developing a toolkit. And that toolkit And you'll notice the URL on it, gmcvb.com, Miami Shines, will allow all of you to download all the digital assets that we've created, including the video you saw earlier. We've got a 30-second version, a 15-second version to make it easy for social media. And PR will kind of be the packaging of all this campaign. You know, we're engaging leaders, many of on this phone call. We're doing virtual trips with our journalists. We will be coming to you for you to identify people that are shining so that we can celebrate them in our Miami Shines campaign, leveraging influencers through our pre-recovery phase. And then as we go to our recovery phase, both local, regional, and national, we're going to be really communicating that Miami, unlike any other destination, and definitely in Florida, and maybe even in the US, has that international cosmopolitan feel. And we know people are going to be traveling internationally. So come to Miami and have that most amazing international cosmopolitan experience. Next slide talks about the campaign, and that's it. I really wanted to emphasize that we are very, very excited about what Miami Shines already is and what it will grow to be. And it's not just about tourism, it's about meetings and convention, and it's about business. In fact, you know, our dear partners at the Beacon Council are embracing Miami Shines as a platform to talk about business recovery. We will be encouraging our partners for the cities throughout this community to please embrace Miami Shines, because we truly feel it's a very powerful platform that can help us all to get through that recovery. You know, this campaign was built with a lot of our experience and, of course, a lot of you partners on this phone call. We've presented and received feedback from many, many different groups, but we're also engaging community experts, industry experts. And we're blessed today to have one of, I think, the most renowned local experts in the hospitality community, and that's Scott Berman. Scott will be joining Bill for some questions and answers. And then, of course, he will be available to you. So thank you, Scott. You've been with us through thick and thin. And once again, you're part of our family, so welcome.
Thank you very much, Rolando. Great presentation. You ran a few minutes over. You've redefined what 10 minutes means, but we're still going to get through the entire program. Yeah, Scott Berman, I'm here to listen, Scott. Scott's going to engage in a conversation with us. Scott is the principal hospitality leisure leader for PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers. That's a global company that has 276,000 employees. So he's a rock star. He's the main guy. And I think he's waived his fee today. I'm not sure, but I'm here to listen, and we're honored, Scott, to have you today. I know you're in a lot of demand, and thank you for waiving that fee. I think you said that you did that. So let's get right to it. Scott, you've lived in Greater Miami for 35 years plus, and I've known you most of that time. How does this crisis stack up compared to previous downturns for hospitality and tourism?
Bill, thank you. And, thank you to the Bureau for the invitation. I think I'm paying you this time, but I came here in 1984. I like to say that I was part of the draft class with Dan Marino. And we know how Danny's career played out. And so these are unprecedented times, Bill. You and Rolando have talked about a number of crises. This community has taken every punch it has received over the last 3 decades. You know, you mentioned the storms, 9/11. We had a recession 10 years ago, like no other.
Zika? Remember Zika?
Yeah, well, you know,
we'd like to have Zika back now. Let's have Zika back.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, you know, infectious disease versus a global, pandemic is really, it is unprecedented. So my point is, you know, when you ask me, how does this stack up? You could roll all those crises up into one and still not reach the historic metrics that we are seeing across the globe when it comes to travel, tourism, and hospitality. So people say, Scott, this is crazy. This is, never seen anything like it. Yeah, that's true. My word is cataclysmic. And that, if when you look up the word cataclysmic, it's relating to a violent natural event. And this is a health crisis, right? So all that experience, all that resiliency, the responsibility of us as stewards of this industry, it's on our shoulders now to respond. And the plan that Rolando showed is absolutely a good start.
Thank you, Scott. How does Greater Miami's performance compare to that in the rest of the country?
There are no winners in this, Bill. I look at data as part of my daily routine. And that, and most of the audience knows that it's occupancy percentage in our hotels that we wake up in the morning to look at, along with average daily rate and RevPAR and all the other metrics. But let me give you I like to usually show a couple slides, but let me give you one statistic, okay? There are just shy of 60,000 rooms in Greater Miami, right? And by the way, 35 years ago, that number was less than 20,000. So we've had historic growth in supply, and particularly over the last 10 years, we've seen nearly 10,000 new hotels open in our community. So the mayor closed the hotels. The order came down, I believe, March 21st. 2 weeks later, the week of April 1st, occupancy in Miami-Dade County was 18%. All right. That represents a 90% reduction from peak. In late January, right? Pre-Super Bowl, we were at 76%. So over 30 days, we lost 90% of our business. And this is global in nature. It started in Asia in January, and it moved across the world. And if you can even imagine this, Europe has been in worse shape than the US. And so, listen, the health crisis has become an economic crisis, and that's what we're facing.
Thank you, Scott. What could the recovery look like for the Greater Miami area, and how may leisure, corporate, and group demand return, international versus domestic, future of cruising, all of these questions that I'm sure that you get all the time, and we're all interested in your response.
So listen, I know the politically correct thing to say is it's all going to be okay. And it will be. It's just going to take time, right? And so this recovery that you all are embarking on, and we as a community and as a country, it's going to be slow. It's going to be uneven. There are lots of levers that need to be addressed. And let me start with 4 levers that impact Miami-Dade. And first is our airport, right? We all know the importance of MIA, right? And I've seen all sorts of different statistics around where airline employments and deplayments are, but it's safe to say that it's grossly less than pre-pandemic, right? And we're probably looking at 20% of capacity, normal capacity. So we are dependent on the airlines to resume. And we know that that is going to be a process that is going to take time. And secondly, and this is probably, if you take anything away from my comments this morning, our industry needs to create a confidence in the employee, those that work in our hotels and in our destination, and the consumer, that Greater Miami is a clean and safe place to work, travel, play, and stay, right? And so that message has to be part of any strategy. And listen, we may likely, according to the Fed, be going into a recession, a prolonged recession. And the unemployment statistics are historic as well. And so we have to think about the financial sting that comes with this. And Rolando mentioned the value proposition. And that's going to be very, very important. And fourth, you know, the Port of Miami is the largest cruise passenger port in the world. And the health of the cruise industry is going to be very important. The number of room nights that industry generates for our community is very telling. So that's what a recovery looks like. I want to go back to something that Rolando said around the drive-to market, because I absolutely agree that the U.S. population is stuck in their homes, and the word pent up absolutely applies here. We are pent up in our homes and in our apartments and in our condos and in our townhouses, and we want to get out. And we're going to be able to do that soon in a clean and safe environment. And so the key to the start of getting that hotel occupancy above 25% is a drive-to market. It is that staycation, right? And so we're starting to see in other parts of the state, like Southwest Florida, Naples, Marco, their hotels are open, right? And their occupancies, while marginal, are better.
Thank you, Scott. Let's talk a little bit about your company. PwC has been an active participant supporting the U.S. Travel Association and AHLA in developing their cleanliness and safety guidelines. You're talking about standard, clean and safe, that is shared with their members across all of travel. As the industry is inundated with various protocols, what should we keep in mind?
Well, listen, if we are leaving it to our employees and the consumer to make choice of who's clean and safe, the problem is going to be exacerbated, okay? And so the trade associations that are so important to all of our subsectors, whether it's hotel, cruise, timeshare, are all actively trying to work with their member stakeholders to create guidelines that everyone can understand and interpret what clean means. And so PwC has been active in the restart of many industries during this crisis. Obviously, hospitality and tourism being one of those. And so we're on the sidelines coaching and mentoring the trade associations on creating that message and the documentation and the guidelines that go with clean and safe. And so we cannot leave it to the consumer to make choice as to who's clean and who's not, right? We need to get that right. And you know, that's going to be an important first step. And so there's no question. Listen, people, you know, coming back to the recovery bill, you know, the recovery really does start in earnest when we get that vaccine, the broader testing, and let science do its work, right? And until then, it's a bit of a crapshoot.
Thank you, Scott. You have dozens, if not hundreds, of conversations with investors, owners, brands, vendors, and stakeholders who do business in Greater Miami. Can you summarize their perspectives and emotions right now?
It's been incredible. I have been blessed with talking to industry leaders around the world. And I will tell you, it is a true testament in leadership. This crisis demands incredible fortitude, courage, and leadership. And the leaders inside PwC and our senior partner has said very clearly, you know, that you can only control what you can control, right? So what can we as a community and an industry control? That's the message that we've heard from the Bureau this morning. Your physical environment, to make sure that your destination, your hotel, your resort, your restaurant, your attraction is clean and safe. and a good steward of the finances, right? And cash is king, right? And cash is in short supply. What we can't control is this bloody virus, right? And we need to let Mother Nature take its course. But I am really impressed how the stewards of our industry locally have been working with the public sector, with our elected officials in making good calls, right? There's not necessarily any right answer right now. And so we need to come together as a community, collectively, collaboratively, and continue to manage the moment, because there are more chapters to be written.
Thank you, Scott. One last question. What is a question that you get asked most?
When can I reopen? When will
Okay,
it
other than that one, Scott, other than that one, other than that, what's the next one?
Well, I think it is around, you know, when can I start to see some sort of reality, right? And so I think there's an emotional quotient here around, you know, you and I are big sports enthusiasts, right? And it will be an emotional lift if somehow, some way, we can see football, baseball, basketball, hockey, college sports again this fall, right? And so, you know, I have to revert back to the answer, because I think we were in denial, I was, for a couple of weeks, that the switch would flick back on and we'd see a V-shaped recovery, right? But we're not going to see that. It's going to be up and down. And so we've gone from denial to empathy to acceptance, right? And it's been managing those emotions that I have spent the last 10 weeks doing with my colleagues, with my friends, and with our clients.
Thank you, Scott. I'm spending time here. This is the new normal, the 185-page document. I've been trying to read it in between here, but obviously the 18th, assuming the governor, maybe he's signing it right now, that will permit on the 18th for additional businesses to open. From what I've read, and I know the Miami Beach folks are on the line, and I watched their city commission meeting yesterday. They have a very robust program on the beach, very well thought out, and we look forward to partnering with them. But it looks like on maybe May 20th, the restaurants will open. Obviously, it was the 29th of April when golf courses, parks, and marinas were opened. And that has gone on largely without incident in our community. So this is the next step of, I guess I can get a haircut on Monday, but then having restaurants open, and hopefully, and some people on this call were involved in these industry groups. And I think if you see the 50% capacity as opposed to the 25% capacity, that was a result of these industry sessions where restaurateurs were at the table under the county mayor's leadership and with doctors there, and basically said, you know, we really need 50%. And so the rest of the state is at 25%. So we're hoping that the governor will sign off on that. And our local governments, you've seen them, Miami Beach, the county of Dade, and the city of Miami, to talk about how can we help the restaurants in using, let's say, a parking spot for tables. So we're excited about the restaurant part. Obviously, hotels on the mainland have been open for the essential lodgers, and we look forward that that will probably be the next one to be open. But you know, there's a light. We've got to social distancing, follow the rules, wash your hands. I mean, there's a lot of easy things we can do, but we all have to follow the rules. The rules aren't for everybody else; they're for us too. So I think, well, the success of the parks, marinas, and golf courses for now a couple of weeks, I think bodes well for the future. And we're going, step by step. So kudos to the mayor and that whole industry groups and the other cities as well. But once again, on Miami Beach, I know the mayor and the manager are on yesterday to watch their package on the beach. It's spectacular.
Yeah. Listen, I was really, I need to play Switzerland as a partner at PwC, but I can't help but root for our community. And if you want a lifting moment, go back and play those videos and listen to people like Nicole, who are small business and who are going to drive the recovery. My recommendation is if you need a lift, go back and watch that video. That was amazing, right? And we need that. We need to be reminded of our intrinsic resources and how great, this destination is and will be again.
Thank you, Scott. We're not going to take that out of your time. So let's have a round of applause for Scott Berman, the industry leader. I mean, this kind of session would have cost a lot of money. So and somebody asked which video, both the Miami Eats video and the Miami Shines video. It's all quality stuff done by your bureau team, and some on very, very quickly. So now we're going to go. We've got a session here. If we have some elected officials who want to make any comments or observations. I know we saw that the mayor of Miami Beach was registered earlier on, and Jimmy Morales, the city manager. We've had some Doral school board members, and anybody, if we can get them on. If we can't, and Bruce Aros, I know, is I think he's filming this for Film at 11. But if not, if we can't get that, we can have our Q&A. We've got, remember we said we were going to have a Q&A. We're pretty much on schedule. So there's, we've been looking at the webinar chat, and a lot of good questions, and I think they're Q&A. So I think I'm asking Tom to take it away.
All right, Bill. So if we're ready to jump into Q&A, we will begin. We've had some amazing questions come in so far.
If we have any elected officials that want to jump in, we'll put them at the head of the line.
Sure, absolutely. Okay, if we do not get to your question today, we will definitely be answering everything in written form and sharing with all attendees. But let's kick this off. With the social distancing rules, do you see it possible for any conferences to actually take place at the convention center this year? It's an open question for the panel.
Well, I'll take that. I think, and Scott didn't say it, everybody talks about the new normal, and Scott has the new reality, right, Scott? You didn't even say that once, but the new reality, I use it from Scott. But I think you see how things are changing and evolving. If you looked at the graduation at the Air Force Academy, it was outdoors. People were spaced out, and they had a successful graduation. So I think now that, the convention center is 1 million square feet. The ballroom's 60,000 square feet. So if there's ever a place that you could do stuff, it seems to me, it's in the convention center with all of the spacing, 6 foot, remember? Here it is, 6 feet. And so I think you'll see the industry evolve on those things. Every industry is going to have to evolve. The meetings, airlines, cruise lines, churches, theaters, sports facilities, everybody is in this. And my prediction is you're going to see some creativity. If some of these things force that, you're going to see some really cool things come out of this. I don't know what they are, but I think there's a lot of interest in the Miami Beach Convention Center, the new reimagined Miami Beach Convention Center. And so we still have some conventions on the books, some are medical in October, and they want to come here. The demand, somebody said a pent-up demand, Scott, Rolando, there's pent-up demand for this Miami brand. Pent-up. And it took this community so many years to become what it became. And we're not going to lose that. We haven't lost it. Everybody has gone. But we're the only airport MIA that had more than served by more than 100 airlines. So there's a lot of, I would predict, interest in meeting on Miami Beach. But Scott said it. You got to demonstrate that you're clean and safe. When Eclurgis is working with us, it worked in Zika. So we're going to have not only, but every touch point for a guest, the airport, transportation, a hotel, a taxi, Uber, convention center, all of those touch points have to be checked off. And, a lot of that is here in this 185 pages we're going to be reading.
Hey, Bill, can I just add to your answer and just try to manage some expectations? I can't tell you how many times in my career I've been told that the meetings and convention business will never come back. I mean, after the Great Recession of 10 through 12, we really struggled, right? But the convention business came back stronger than ever, right? Nobody's got a crystal ball right now. And listen, the meeting planners are the first ones to tell you we need clean and safe, right? And it will be the convergence of all of what you're doing, a vaccine, therapeutics, broader testing, that give that confidence to the meeting planner. So this notion that meetings and conventions are dead, we've heard it before, and every time it has come back bigger, better, and stronger.
But there was a new coalition that was formed, and the Bureau was part of that, the Meetings Mean Business Coalition, when there was that question that you're talking about. So, and we're part of that group, and we'll continue to be a part of that group. MMB, Meetings Mean Business, face-to-face meetings.
Well, and if I may, one thing that I mentioned briefly, and I want to give so much credit to our partners at the Convention Center, Spectra, which is part of a massive conglomerate. I know there's been a lot of conversation with convention centers throughout the country as we speak, developing guidelines that will allow meetings and conventions to return as quickly as possible. 2020 was going to be a banner year for our convention center. Ironically, we've, the headquarter hotel was approved under the leadership of many, including Bill. And so we've got a very bright and optimistic future when it comes to the meetings and convention business, but we do know that it's going to be under certain guidelines for the foreseeable future.
Wonderful. We have a similar question, but we're seeing a lot of traction on the Art Basel topic, and in terms of it returning in December. So any insight on Art Basel?
It's scheduled. It's on the books. That's an important event. And it's on the books, and it's fully intended to have it. And that's December. That's the first week in December. Mm-hmm. So they certainly wouldn't do anything now. And remember, we're more than a beach. We're art and culture. So it's part of the cultural renaissance of our community. And that's one of the beacons for our community. You talk about diversifying our community, and we're working with our partners on the beach. I mean, Art Basel is a clear example of we're more than a beach. I mean, that's the major contemporary art show in the world. So we've got our fingers crossed. We're supporting them. We communicate with them. So that would be an important event to have and to keep, and we will keep it. Jennifer, any elected officials yet raising their hands?
Not that we can see, sir.
Mayor Gelber was out there. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So here's a question more on the marketing realm. Someone's asking, why should we be spending money now on these marketing initiatives when our beaches and hotels are closed?
Well, I can answer that, and then Rolando will jump in. Everybody else is. Everybody else is because this is so serious. Now, we're not doing hard sell. If you look at that video and the small business restaurants, so it's after 9/11, we were What Makes You Happy program. Here's a Miami Shine. So Rolando, this is an easy question.
Well, as alluded mentioned, we're currently in what we're calling our pre-recovery phase, and then we have our recovery phase. So in our pre-recovery phase, to your point, we're not spending a lot of money. Quite frankly, we're bankrolling that money for the recovery phase for when our hotels and beaches are open, which has not been officially announced, but we're hoping that will be made in the coming weeks. So in our pre-recovery phase, we've been leveraging a lot of social media. We have been doing some targeted sales efforts, especially on the meeting side, because those are decisions that are made with a long-term horizon. So our investment right now has been nominal during the pre-recovery. We have built some assets like the video, some of the toolkits, because what we do want to do, and to Bill's point, we want to stay top of mind. I mean, yes, we have this amazing brand, but everyone else is going to be competing for that regional market that Scott and everyone else knows is going to be a very viable customer. So we want to make sure that when we are able to safely and responsibly host those customers, whether it's locally, regionally, or nationally, that they think of us and think of us first.
Great. Here's a question on the Miami Eats program. Someone is asking, is this a partnership with Uber Eats?
No, and it's, if you look at the website, miamibeaches.com, and you look at the Eats, it's dial direct. It's right up there in the banner. Because if you talk to restaurateurs, some of those other, whether it's that Uber Eats or others, they take a big piece out of the revenue. So almost from day one, we encourage everybody to go direct to the restaurant. That's a way to get the maximum money into the owners and the employees of the restaurant, as opposed to, and I've seen posted up, big piece of the pie goes out to some of those services. And there's a place in other times, but today, if you look at that website, it says dial direct, right, Rolando?
It does, and that was from day one. We felt that was the best way to help the restaurants. And think about it also, a lot of the staff at those restaurants that would have been taking care of the dining room customers, some restaurants have actually repurposed those to be delivery drivers. So that keeps them employed. Third-party applications like Uber Eats, Grubhub, they are valuable under normal circumstances. They showcase a lot of restaurants. They spend a lot of marketing money. But under these circumstances, we want to make sure that we empower the restaurants first and foremost, and try to keep as many of their staff employed as possible.
It's a good question, though. It was a good question.
Excellent. So in regards to the Miami Shines campaign, people want to know, are these videos being presented locally or regionally, or both?
Bill, I'll take that one. All of the above and very strategic. As I mentioned earlier, we're not spending a lot of paid media because we want to bankroll it for our full recovery campaign once we know that all our assets are online. But yes, we, there's a robust social media campaign as well. That's why we have it in 60, 30, and 15. And we're leveraging it, especially with a lot of our city and county partners. They've got some great PSA platforms through their broadcast channels, the social media that I mentioned earlier. And also, frankly, we're counting on some great cable partners. Comcast is today's sponsor, so we're in discussions with them to help us amplify Miami Shines very cost effectively. You heard about the great partnership with the Miami Beach Chamber of Commerce to help get the word out with our Miami Eats program. So we, as we've done in the past, will be very, very efficient and very mindful in terms of the resources that we're allocating right now in this pre-recovery phase to make sure that our full recovery campaign is as well funded as possible.
And we used, I think, the 30-second spot yesterday with an elected official on a program. Very well received, very well received.
And frankly, we're also counting on the 1,200 restaurants that are part of Miami Eats to help amplify through their social media. I mean, foodie and food culture, it's like a cult following, and it's happened with Miami Spice. It's a very successful program. So, Miami Eats has taken a lot of those Miami Spice-like qualities where it's become part of the lexicon of Miami, and we're hoping that too will help amplify these programs.
I mean, you looked at the excitement from Nicole. I mean, open 3 years, very excited in our multicultural neighborhoods, and that's what this industry, I think Scott said it. I mean, we're a small business community, and it's putting these things together. That's why I think the Bureau was so proud and almost immediately put that together. Remember, you had Spice, and this is Miami Eats, but it was done in a few days. And so people are working today and restaurants are open today that would not have been open but for Miami Eats. Now this is a long journey, but we're trying to do our part.
Excellent. Here's another question. During these challenging times, do you see an increased opportunity for collaboration with competitors as recovery begins?
Who's our competitor? Sometimes we're our own competitor. Sometimes we're our own competitor. You know, we have a strong brand. You know, it's Miami Shines. It's Miami Shines. You know, we have Miami Beach as a strong partner. We have our neighborhoods and we have our communities. But, and you know what? Miami-Dade County is larger than 15 states, just this county. So that shows you, I mean, we've got the critical mass to be a state or to be whatever we want. So our collaboration is internally. You know, the Multicultural and Tourism Development Department is like 4 or 5 years old. That's new. That was to embrace the neighborhoods, embrace small businesses. And the partnerships we learned from our strategic plan workshops is this is a big, big county, and there's lots of neighborhoods and there's lots of communities and there's lots of interest. So we're in the partnership business. You know, mentioned the Beacon Council, all of our chambers. So it's about partnerships.
I would answer it and say that in my career, I've never seen the various industries come together like they are now around restarting and the clean and safe programs. And so, Bill, you've been involved in U.S. travel. Wendy Calderas around American Hotel and Lodging Association. These trade associations are driving the national message around the restart and what clean looks like. And the cooperation and the collegiality that is going on across sectors is unprecedented in and of itself.
Everybody check their weapons at the door.
All right. And then in terms of the marketing, people want to know, will there be an opportunity for marketing co-op programs for hotels?
Oh, that's an easy one, Rolando.
So, you know, we had multiple co-op programs that were already in the works, and we do a lot of co-op marketing. It's a great way to leverage the partnerships that Bill and others have been talking about. And it's very cost effective because, you know, we in essence do invest a lot of dollars as well as our hotels and our attractions. So a lot of those programs were in fact paused, but they too will be unleashed and reopened as soon as our overall recovery campaign. So that is one of the layers on top of the things that we will be doing for everyone, is to reactivating those co-op programs. And frankly, you know, Miami Spice will be happening under this Miami Shines umbrella. That is an ultimate co-op program for our hotels. Miami Spa Month at the right time is yet another example of a co-op program. And we're going to do that with attractions and museums. And of course, most importantly, arguably, is our hotel co-op programs, which we have on average about 6 or 7 of those that are going on throughout the year. Some of those were paused, and some of those will be relaunched again as well. I do want to say, going back to the partnership, the regional collaboration that was mentioned earlier, you know, we're counting on more intra-regional collaboration. I know the VCA has amazing partners and resources, and we're counting on working with them closely. The DDA in downtown, they have an amazing message for what's happening in our urban core. You know, Sunny Isles, Hialeah. You know, Bill mentioned South Dade. So I think, you know, we're going to be spending a lot of energy more than ever on that intra-regional collaboration because we have so much diversity within our community, which we feel is what's going to bring those customers back in earnest.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out here. I'm reading from the webinar chat that, quote, we at Freebie, everybody knows Freebie, have been providing free deliveries for local restaurants. Thanks to the CVB and Miami Eats, #support local businesses. So that's how all these things connect. It's Freebie helping out. More jobs.
Wonderful. Now, Mr. Talbert, we know you sit on a few task force right now. And so the one question we're seeing asked in different ways is, do we know if the government will have guidelines that all hotels will have to follow in order to be safe once they can open?
You see this document? This is 185 pages. It's not about, I don't believe it's about hotels, but there will be documents. These are rules. This is for locals. So there will be a similar document. This is entitled The New Normal, a guide for residents and commercial establishments. But the guidelines will be very specific. They're driven by the science, by what the doctors are saying, but also with the industry at the table. So this is 185 pages. So but we got to follow the rules. We got to wash our hands, social distancing, and do all the things that are required, and things will be fine. But this is somebody says in documents there are guidelines on page 54. Okay, maybe on page 54 of this. See, I haven't gotten that far, or maybe the hotel stuff. But there are extensive, specific guidelines. Wendy Kalergis was on the hotel group, and all of the major hoteliers, large and small, boutiques and the biggest, were on all of these calls on the hotel side and the restaurant side. But it's very specific and very specific standards on clean and safe. Right, Scott?
Yeah, listen, in the hotel world, the major brands have all been very proactive in providing their hotels with guidelines, soon to be standards. As I said, the trade associations are taking the lead. And so there will be a lot of guidance to the industry, whether you're large, small, in the middle. You got to get this right. And so I would urge everyone to download and participate, in following those protocols that Bill just touched the surface, right? But you are this again. I want to reiterate: this is a healthcare crisis, right? And so it has been led by the medical community in terms of developing those protocols. And so many of us know how hotels and cruise lines and destination attractions operate. We're in some new territory here, and we've had to go get the appropriate coaching, to develop these guidelines.
Also, we have posted up this document, this new normal document. We're not going to pay for the paper to print it on, but thank you, GMCVB host, for posting that up. This is the Bible. The question is, who participated in the drafting? The participants were the industry in the industry segments, restaurateurs with restaurants, hotels with hotels, museums with museums, paired up under the leadership of Miami-Dade County Mayor Carlos Jimenez. Each industry group met, and there was an MD and a representative from the Florida Department of Health on every session, and the mayor was on every session, and they broke down in groups. So this document is a result of those industry sessions. And what happened was the county hired a company to make sense out of all this. There was a lot of bits and pieces. The company's name is Rolando. McKinsey. Everybody knows McKinsey. But McKinsey then took all of this stuff, and so there were like 15 industry groups and trying to have some consistency. And the mayor says, listen, if we're going to have a customer, we need the same standard across the industries. If we're going to have a check-in, we need to have the same standards. So this is a collaborative effort of industry and the medical folks. But also, I'll go back to the restaurant piece. As a result of that dialogue, we haven't seen it finally yet. We're going to hope it'll happen. Then the restaurants were able to go to 50% as opposed to the rest of the state, 25%. And I think you saw this morning in the Miami Herald that yesterday, when Broward saw it was 50% here, they were looking at 25%. instantly they say, we want 50% too. So it's about, and that's that kind of a regional thing. So that's a lot. Read this, The New Normal. It's fascinating.
Wonderful. Well, here is an overwhelming question that we're getting over and over again, and that is the obvious: when will hotels open?
No, nobody knows. Nobody knows. It's I mean, now the restaurants are going to be, they could open on the 18th if the governor signs off, but it looks like the cities are picking May 27th as a date for restaurants. Remember, it's now. I think, you know, it's, we talk about opening up, but this is a very controlled opening. It's not like, oh, it's open. There are new rules and very strict rules. So I think we need to say with new rules, it's open, rather than it opens with new rules. So it's, but the hotel thing is, there you have size issues, and there's a lot of issues with the hotels. It's gonna happen, and whatever the date is, whoever gives you a date is, I mean, it's speculation. Obviously, it's going to be soon. I always like the word soon. It's gone through the same process as all of this, and so I know we've worked with our hoteliers. They're ready to go. They're ready to go. But I'll say again, all of the hotel industry, large, small, boutiques, the biggest, all over town, were at the table on, and Wendy Kalergis, the Greater Miami Beaches Hotel Association. This was very, very detailed, very long, lots of discussions. And so the product is going to be good, but it's also going to be a product that the industry can live with and the medical community can live with.
Wonderful. Here is a question that feels a little bit like a Scott Berman question, but is there any indication when domestic non-essential travel will be allowed, encouraged, and also same for international?
Sure. So let me build off of Bill's answer in terms of a restart, because I'm asked that question multiple times a day. There is no one date. Okay. I think back, you know, in early March, we were all thinking, you know, that we could wave the wand or flip the switch and we'd be back to normal, right? And so this is going to be what we call in the industry a ramp up, right? Someone mentioned Art Deco, and my advice is, you know, as long as it's safe and clean and we're following the protocols, that we work toward that date. In terms of being ready, and on top of what's next is the 120 days that we, you know, love to call the season, right? You know, the fear is that we won't have a vaccine or broader testing, that will still be down the road. And so the point is that we're going to grind it out. It's going to be a bit uneven. And that leisure clientele is going to come back first. And in terms of listen, we know how important our international inbound traffic is. Okay, we need planes, right? We need the borders open. I'm hopeful that someone mentioned Canada and the importance of Canada to this market, that the Canadian border opens, and that we have that drive-to traffic coming back faster. But let's also understand that lift issue, that's going to be a gradual ramp up too, right? That's not going to happen on the 4th of July or Labor Day. And so let's work toward a goal, right? And we may have to change that goal. And I think the Bureau's strategy is spot on in terms of a phase one. And I think it's clear that the Bureau has said this is phase one. There are going to be multiple phases to this, right? And that international, you know, whether it's Europe or Latin America, it's critical to the overall health of our tourism economy, right? So, you know, it's going to be phased, and it's going to be a process following certain protocols.
We got 6 minutes left. We'll be on time. I want to ask a question of Connie Kinnard. Connie, how do you see the neighborhoods and the multicultural program fitting into this overall recovery, which is going to happen?
Absolutely. Well, even prior to this, we've had regular programs in which we work with the neighborhoods and businesses in the neighborhoods, some of our partners that are culturally based or focused. So ongoing, even before this, we've had business sessions and collaborations. I see us even ramping up our efforts with our community and our business partners even more in the future. They really are the core and the heart of the recovery process. Some of our neighborhoods that are so key to Miami's fabric have such unique offerings in those areas. And so it is important from a tourism standpoint that we do all we can do to help make sure that they thrive. So we're not the end all be all, but we'll do all we can. We'll collaborate and move forward. But I do see it, our department and the Bureau, our partnership department, and all the great things that we offer from GMCVB is really an integral part of the phases of our recovery.
Thank you. I only have one question, see.
Okay.
I think we have time for another question. So this one is in regards to the Miami Shines campaign. Will we be sharing this campaign with airline carriers, and because they will be critical, obviously, in bringing the tourists back to Miami-Dade County?
You all take that one then?
Yeah, with all of our partners, the cruise lines, the airlines, the neighborhoods. Mike Finney and the Beacon Council has embraced it. He's on this call. He's all in. He sees it as a platform. It's a platform that just about every segment can jump on. So we're going to share it with everybody, the airlines, the cruise lines, everybody. So can you beat that one, Rolando?
Well, and thankfully, we've got our hometown airline, as we like to call American Airlines. 75% of all the flights in and out of MIA. We've got great board representation, and Bill has been working closely with Juan Carlos Liscano, who heads up the operations here locally. So
he's on the call.
And he's on the call. Thank you, Juan Carlos. So yes, this is, Scott said it well. We need airlines, and they, the vast majority of our visitors do normally come on planes, and we know that will soon again be the case at some point in the future. They're flying now, and hopefully, I know they have some fairly robust plans to start reestablishing service over the summer, contingent upon some governmental approval. So we're lockstep with them. We have a very large annual co-op program with American Airlines, and we're looking to continue that investment. And of course, we know some other important carriers as well, but American Airlines by far is our largest hometown carrier.
And I want to, because we can do it, here's Juan Carlos on the web chat of American. We are all in with the GMCVB exclamation point. So that's what partnerships are about. Thank you, Juan Carlos. Get my upgrades, please. Scott needs upgrades.
You're optimistic, Bill. I love it.
All right, everyone. And so this will be our, I think our last question now. There seems to be a lot of excitement online with the Miami Shines program. And so people are asking, how do we get involved? Where can we share how can we download Miami Shines information? Can we share it on our social media?
Absolutely. Miami Shines is built by us for you, for the industry, for the community, for our residents, which is a critical part of our strategic plan. So we have this pandemic, and ironically, it is fast forwarded our community engagement. So please go to gmcvb.com/Miami Shines. And please use hashtag Miami Shines in everything you do socially, with your family, with your friends, with your customers, and that will help amplifying what it is. And on that webpage, you can also download a lot of those assets that I mentioned earlier, videos, logos, and anything else that you may need. But please don't hesitate to also email us If you have any suggestions and criticism and how we can improve the program, please don't hold back.
Yeah, you can hashtag Miami Shines, or if you Google Miami Shines, it'll come up. Just
It'll
Google
come up that way too. Yes.
All right. That concludes the Q&A. Mr. Talbert, if you'd like to.
Oh, I think this is exciting. We're right on time. We wanted to leave time for Q&A and have time for experts like Scott to have a dialogue, you know, and also for us to tell you what your Bureau has been doing, but to really expand what we're doing. And I hope from what I'm reading on the web chat, it's all been well received. You know, we're not perfect. We're working very hard, but Scott, thank you for waiving your fee. And thank you, Connie, for bringing small business person with excitement. I can't wait to go over, and I guess it's takeout or delivery, so I can't sit down. But no, I guess we could is in a week, I guess on the 27th, go over there and eat. So it's on my list. But thank you, partners. Thank Bureau team. Thank you. A lot of people on this call. I mean, this is a marathon, not a sprint. There's no cookie cutter solutions, but we're in it for the long haul. Your Bureau is the best equipped group in the country to deal with this, because what we've handled in the past, some other folks, they've said, what is this? So it's about every day, every minute, every hour, and it's a long haul. But thank you, team. Thank you, Rolando. Thank you, Connie. Thank you, Jennifer. And a special thank you to Scott Berman. Let's have applause for Scott. Okay, I'm gonna do a mic drop.
Thank you.
Thanks, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Right on time.
Let it shine.